Collingwood and half the Victorian teams are chasing Bailey Humphrey from Gold Coast. Let's talk about it. So this seemingly came out of nowhere. Bailey Humphrey and his manager, or probably more so his manager, is pretty much shopping himself around to Victorian clubs. He wants to come to Melbourne, but he is still contracted for 3 years at the Gold Coast Suns. Former pick six, one of Damien Hardwick's favourite players, had an absolutely breakout season, winning Gold Coast's best emerging young talent. Played 23 games, kicked 25 goals, 3 against Fremantle in their historic first finals performance and first finals win. But how the hell did Collingwood get him?
While rival clubs are preparing to chase young son Bailey Humphrey, despite being contracted until 2028 on the Gold Coast, Collingwood, Carlton and Melbourne will attempt to lure him back to Victoria.
So over the last 12 hours, there have been a lot of developments. According to Xander Maguire, Collingwood and Craig McRae have met with Bailey Humphries because he's over in Melbourne at the moment. So have Melbourne, so have Carlton. Xander Maguire says Collingwood believes it has sold the best future to the 21-year-old under Craig McRae. Now, this kid is the next best thing in the AFL. He's going to be absolutely huge. Had, again, like I said, a breakout season this year. He's only played 3 years in the AFL system, was pick six in 2022. And he is the hottest commodity on the trade market at the moment.
Sam Edmund is reporting on Twitter that Bailey Humphrey's management has reached out to multiple rival clubs in recent days as it becomes increasingly clear the player has an appetite to leave the Gold Coast in the trade period. Humphrey is currently in Melbourne. Now, the Suns are set to seriously dig in, given the contract. He's got 3 more years and potential admiration which Damien Hardwick has for him. I mean, this is another potential bombshell in the trade period. The Bailey Humphrey discussion just continues to evolve.
Now, the biggest question, and we've talked about like Clayton Oliver going for cheap, Stephen May would come for cheap, or, all these sort of players, they listed free agents and stuff like that. With Bailey Humphrey, it's very different, right? Because he's contracted for 3 years, Collingwood would need to give up a hell of a lot for him to come to the club. I'm talking picks, probably players or a player as well, maybe a third or a fourth club. Kind of like what happened with Houston, Noble, and Port Adelaide last season. Now, you've got to think that last season, at one point, we were no chance of landing Dan Houston, and we ended up landing him. It did take a lot. It went pretty much right down to the wire as well. So this is going to be huge. Who do I think is in the best position to land Bailey Humphrey right now? It has to be Melbourne. Christian Petrarca says that he wants to go to the Gold Coast Suns. Suns need to trade for Christian Petrarca. If Bailey nominates Melbourne, bang, she's all over. Humphrey won't come to the Pies, and it just makes logical sense that if he wants to come to Melbourne, and Gold Coast will be dealing with Melbourne, you would think that a swap and then picks or something like that would be the thing that gets him here. But what you're waiting for is for Humphrey to say, I don't want to play for Melbourne, take me to Carlton or take me to Collingwood, and then you fight tooth and nail to do whatever you need to do to get Humphrey to the club.
Spent a bit of time this morning talking about Bailey Humphrey, and he is front and centre now in this exchange.
Really?
Melbourne will come so hard for him to be involved. This is what the Demons have always wanted. They have wanted Petrarca to choose Gold Coast. They think, as we said earlier, that there's a chance they can convince Bailey Humphrey to join them in a trade. So that will really test the Suns' resolve, won't it? I mean, on one hand, you get Christian Petrarca. They would hate to lose Bailey Humphrey.
Now, Humphrey is a very strong and versatile inside mid and a forward, pretty much playing as a deep forward for most of Gold Coast season because they are pretty stacked in the midfield, but having stints in the midfield as well. Like I said, 2025 was his best year, 186 centimeters, big guy, tough player, 21 years old. So if we're looking for a list refresh, this is the guy that has to be the next best thing that we can get into the club and really help us in 2026. Now, I saw some of the comments on Clayton Oliver. He's too old. He's past it. Even if he comes for cheap, we don't want him. Bailey Humphrey won't come cheaply. Like I said, you're probably needing to get rid of a player or two, or trading future picks, or trying to get into the first round to really give Gold Coast what they want. But Gold Coast will play hardball and say, no, he's contracted for another 3 years. He's staying at the club. But again, contracts don't bloody matter during trade time. If Humphrey says, make me a pie, they're gonna make him a pie. There's not many players that say, "Make me a Collingwood player," and they don't go to the Pies, or make me an ex-player, and they don't go to that team. It has happened, but it's pretty rare that that does happen.
These Victorian clubs feel like they're a chance to bring him in. And he's a gun, Bailey Humphrey. And the Suns think he's a gun as well.
Absolutely. Gippsland Power Boy. So, wanting to come back to Victoria, it's, half an hour ago I said there's no way that the Suns would do it. And why would he want to leave a team like the Gold Coast Suns are on the way up? But that call to home, or that pull back to home, is a strong one. And it's interesting when players do it. Like, he is a highly desired player. I just can't see the Suns even entertaining it.
Now, how could Bailey Humphrey fit into Collingwood's lineup? Like I said, an aging list, aging midfield. It was really great that we have Jamie Elliott back and contracted for another couple of years as an extension. But Bailey Humphrey could very much slide straight into that forward line as a sort of deep forward, or rotate through the middle, because he is such a strong player. And that's what we are lacking. Now, what does that mean for the likes of Dimatia, Long, Ed Allen? Now, maybe Ed Allen probably goes on a wing and steal Sidebottom's natural successor. But Humphrey, you could build a base around Humphrey and Nick Dacos at the same time. That would feed absolute generations of Collingwood supporters. And something that, I really haven't thought about Bailey Humphrey since, I've seen him in a couple of games, and he's like, oh yeah, he's going to be really great for the Suns, blah, blah, blah. He's contracted for another 3 years. And then it starts slowly coming out. He's in Melbourne. He's met with a bunch of teams. He's met with Collingwood. Craig McRae loves him. The club loves him. And I'll always hark back onto when Craig McRae and when Barry Cup, the president of the Pies, said, we are not going to stand still in the pursuit of getting better. We are going to do everything we can to improve the team, whether that be dealers to free agents, Stephen May, Clayton Oliver, Bailey Humphrey. This club isn't going to just sit on their ass and do absolutely nothing. And we've proved time and time again. Like I said in a couple of videos ago, Dan Houston came from nowhere. Lockie Schultz came from nowhere. And I could feel that Collingwood are starting to cook up something. Like, there's no way we're just linked to Jack Buller and Jacob Blight. Going to be absolutely good players, or hopefully great players for the club. They're getting their age profile down a lot, which is great. But Bailey Humphrey, out of those three players, is probably the one that can slot straight into the team. Buller is going to be more of a project sort of player, especially with West. Like, at the moment, I would probably play West over Buller if we're going for a 3 tall forward line with no Mychek, because Mychek is more than likely 90% going to leave to go to Melbourne during the free agency period, which opened on Friday, which is today as I'm recording this video. Jacob Blight is going to be a good backman, but again, is he going to take over Frampton's spot? You've got Reef McGuinness coming back as well, so it's going to be a big preseason to see who gets that spot there, because we know how he's going to play more games than he won't play games. It will be more of the rotation thing, like we've seen in this year, where we're resting older players, giving them a break. That's when Jacob Blight and stuff can come in, and if they play well, they keep the older guys out. And that's what you want. You want these young kids to come into the side or perform so well in the VFL that they can take the spots of these older guys. And, I've seen people in the comments on YouTube and Instagram stuff, oh, what does this mean for Dimatia? What does this mean for Ed Allen? What does this mean for our youngsters? Put games into our youngsters. Yeah, that's all well and good, but if the youngsters aren't good enough to play in the AFL and overtake some of these senior players, they're not going to get games. You're not just handed games. Will Parker, right? Wasn't handed a game. Jeremy Howe comes out. Will Parker goes into the side, plays an incredible role. Howe comes back, and they just trusted Howe a little bit more in that preliminary final. You can say what you want about that. Roan Steele, right? They obviously rated Roan Steele so highly after becoming a mid-season draft pick that they wanted him in the side more than an Ed Allen, more than a Di Mattia, more than any of these sort of other players. So you can see that, yes, we do have a bunch of youth in the VFL that are sort of staying there and just waiting for their opportunity, but they've got to prove that they are better than the guy that they're taking the position for. Is Di Mattia better than Ned Long at the moment? Or is Di Mattia better than a Sidebottom at the moment? No, he's not. Is Ed Allen even? No, he's not. Roan Steele, obviously. Will Parker, thereabouts as well. So Humphreys will probably come straight into this side if his best 23, especially with 5 on the bench now with no sub. He's come straight into the side, a really good mid-forward rotation.
Yes, I do love the Bear. I love players who are creative, that can get you in multiple ways. We know he's so good below his knees. He's really strong, so if you actually put a bigger player on him, he's going to get you a ground level. You play a smaller player, he's very good in the one-on-one marking contest. So a type of player in the front half, forward 50 in particular, 10 touches, he can take the game away from you really quickly. So we saw a ground ball, mark, stoppage. Not sure why you'd leave him all on his own in a final there, because that's what he'll do. He'll make you pay.
Collingwood like goal-kicking midfielders, and Humphrey can be that guy. You have to win flags, you win flags with goal-kicking mids. Look at the goal-kicking mids of Geelong versus Brisbane. McCluggage kicking 4, Ashcroft kicking, 3 or something ridiculous like that. So you need these goal-kicking mids. And everything that I've seen from Humphrey just proves that obviously he can make it on the big AFL stage, but doing it in front of 90,000 Collingwood fans would be just something extraordinary. I posted on Instagram about it, and here's what you are saying about acquiring Bailey Humphrey. Now, like I said earlier in this video, it is going to be absolutely hard to prize Humphrey from Gold Coast. Look, the only way you could do it is if you get a third club involved. Maybe it is the Melbourne Petrarca deal. So maybe Humphrey says, make me a pie. Then you have Melbourne going, so you have Petrarca going to Gold Coast. So then there's a third club and there's a couple of picks swapped there, or a player going there. Someone else says they want to go to Gold Coast, and it's like the John Noble, Rory Atkins, Dan Houston trade all over again. So I anticipate this being a 3-club trade, but we're not going to know anything in steel in stone. What's in steel? That's not even a term. We're not going to know anything set in stone until Humphrey says, yes, I want to be a Collingwood player.
Weller can square the shoulders and send one the other way. It's a very good mark to a very good player. Humphrey kicks his second.
Here's a chance for Humphrey. Gets onto the right boot, curls it around. Humphrey's got another. And the Suns are looking inspired in the West.
This is what Damien Hardwick said about Humphrey last year.
He's an unstructured player, so he just plays the game. And that's what we want to implement. Look, we don't want to sit there and, as I said previously, try and fit a square peg in a round hole. We want him to feel comfortable in what he can do and put himself where he needs to be. You know, I sort of liken him to a match winner, really. You know, the De Goeys, the Toby Greens, the Dustin Martin type players. He's that sort of guy.
Now, that is huge raps. Jordan De Goey, Toby Greens, Dustin Martins. That's phenomenal. And it just shows you what type of player he can be. If we can build a nucleus around Nick Dacos, Humphrey, Ned Long as well, you know, are you willing to give up someone like Jordan De Goey to the Suns? Or I'm not saying that that's a possibility, but you need to give someone of value to get someone of value. It's just going to be a lot of crossing the T's and dotting the I's. Let me know your thoughts down below, how you think we get Bailey Humphrey to the club. It's an exciting time. I bloody love trade period and free agency period, and I know players will be leaving us. We can't just get all these players in and expect no players to leave us. So players will probably be leaving us. Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.